So welcome everyone. Thanks for all of you to join in. Thanks for another episode of PMAP's HR Talk series. Uh, I know it's a busy week this time around, but thanks for pulling your time from your busy schedule. The idea behind this podcast series is to that all of us can learn from some of the leading HR practitioners, so that we can all transform the workspaces that we are all associated with. With that, Christ, let me introduce our esteemed guest, uh, one of our HR mentor, Miss Lakshmi Menon. She's a VP HR at Medusind Solutions. Medusind Solution is a success startup story. In almost 2 decades, this company is now servicing some of the leading global clients. This company specializes in revenue healthcare management systems. Right now, it is servicing the global market. It has a delivery center across India. And Lakshmi Menon is one of the part of the HR team who has transformed this company from a startup to a global giant. Thanks, Lakshmi, for being part of this event. I know you have a busy day, but thanks for being part of this. Uh, uh, before I start on set of questions that we are having, it will be good if you can just introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Saurabh, and thank you for inviting me to be part of the podcast with PMAPs. My name is Lakshmi Menon. I've been in the HR field for now, I think it's 22 plus years. Haven't been counting, but yeah, it's 22 plus years. I've been with Medusind for now for nearly 2 decades right now. I started my career as an assistant manager here, and today I manage talent acquisition, training and development, and business HR for 6 locations in India. And I manage administration for the entire India and US locations. That's about me.
Amazing, amazing. Before I start this session, we have a prefix question that we generally ask our guest. But one unique aspect about this session that's going to be that you've been associated with Medusind and its entire success journey over 2 decades, and I'm very sure you would have seen in this 2 decades a lot of things would have changed. From during these 2 decades. So, what has been your overall experience while in this long stint and in this entire journey of a company? I even know there are so many HR professionals that reach out to us, and we see a lot of people changing jobs as an HR practitioner. But you've been a person who've been having an experience of taking a company from almost zero level to a catastrophic growth. So, what has been your overall experience working in the same company for almost 2 decades?
So one is that I've grown with the organization, just as Medusind has grown. I have grown with Medusind. When I started with Medusind, we were about, I think, 200 employees. And I joined the Chennai location. In Chennai, we had taken over a company quite recently. And that's how I joined Medusind, because they asked that they needed somebody in Chennai who can manage the location. With that, it's been a growth story. And a lot of people ask me, why have I not left? What is the reasoning, etc. But the entire part is I need a reason to leave, right? I've had opportunities within the organization, and there has been a lot of freedom and creativity, which has helped me to grow in the organizations. There have been a lot of opportunities given. Not only that, the company goal has been very clear. It's been accountability, and with accountability comes empowerment. Grown, and it's been a common goal towards everybody's work. It's a very collaborative atmosphere. Everybody in the organization is extremely aggressive, and it's not only me who's been here for nearly 2 decades. There are a lot of people, other people who have been here at the organization. So it's not only one story; it's multiple stories across the organization where people have grown within the organization, and the key factor has been everybody has got empowerment, and with empowerment has been accountability. One second is that everybody works towards the vision of the organization. So that has been a key factor for a lot of us to stay back in the organization.
Wow, amazing. I think this is, I completely agree. I think since most of the people hung together for such a long period of time, no worries, the companies have exceptional performance in the last few years.
So we started with 200 people. Today we have 4,000 plus people. We have 6 locations in India. I think 15 plus locations in the US. Integrations have been seamless. For the last 10 plus years, we've acquired companies in the US. There are 2 acquisitions which have happened very recently. One acquisition in Bangalore location and 2 acquisitions in the US location. So it's been a lot of growth, both organic and inorganic. And we started off as a base company, as a vendor partner for our clients in the US. And today, we're very proud to say that we are actual partners with the organizations that we work in. We have diversified our verticals in the healthcare domain. We primarily work in the healthcare domain. We are a medical revenue cycle management organization. So we have leaders in the dental revenue cycle management space and the medical revenue cycle management space. And yeah, it's been a good, it's been an amazing story. I'm extremely proud to be part of the growth story with Medusind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one question leads from this is this, because I think the journey from 200 to 4,000 employees, I'm very sure over this period of time, you would be hiring people all across, right? So what has been your, if you can tell our audience maybe a quick hack, right? What all they should do to, hire quickly and, so that, their hiring targets get met. Because this is the common question that we keep on getting, what are the sources to hire? What are the things that we should keep in mind so that we can hire faster?
So one is, I don't think there's a quick hack to hiring. The company has to be prepared for hiring. But typically at Medusind, what the team does and what we do is we ensure that the first thing is that we ensure our team of hiring people, that is the recruiters, hiring managers, are extremely in sync with each other and know the business well, especially the HR recruitment team knows the business very well. The second is that we ensure that there is a clear-cut ramp-up plan and there's a plan A and a plan B, because things change very fast. We also look at agility in hiring in terms of looking at seeing what is working and what is not working and ensuring that we review processes and mechanisms and milestones at various points so that we are not falling back. And we ensure that we ramp up for what the requirement is, and we ensure that, if there is hiring plan and if there is a ramp up plan, we follow it to the T. Just that, a lot of people think that it's bulk hiring and if you just go get in people the way you want, it doesn't work. Processes and procedures have to be followed. Your team has to be empowered and trained to ensure that they take the right decision. Successful hiring is not about getting the numbers, it is about getting the right hires and the right. So business is not going to keep quiet if you don't get the numbers, but if you don't get the right hires, then everybody is going to suffer. They're going to rehire. Business is going to keep on training. Doesn't make sense. So what we look at is right hires and right numbers. We ensure that teams are trained into taking the right people. The interview processes are designed such that right people come in. We, of course, have been working with PMAPs for the longest of time, for nearly a month, with our assessment tests, etc., which has helped us in filtering in people. We utilize technology as much as possible. And end of the day, it's ensuring that we stick to the plan. And we also have sources of recruitment, which is there. Our highest source of recruitment is reference. And that, believe me, helps a lot, because our referrals know our people, what kind of people fit in and which kind of people come in. That is our biggest strength. And then we are also present on social media, job portals, etc. We have long-term consultant partners who work with us. And that's what works right with us.
Okay. So I think for the audience, I think reference is a key point here. I think, So reference is a channel which also works for you.
Yes, it does. A lot of most of our positions get closed via reference.
Okay. Sounds good. Lakshmi, there is a point that we keep on hearing from some of these sessions that, quality of hiring and the quantity of hiring are inversely related. And, and all this leads to a question that, when company hires in a bulk or hires in a pressure, it tends to compromise compromise on the quality aspect. Despite having an assessment of all these tech stacks, still there is a situation wherein there can be a conflict between the business and the quality of the process. As somebody who's at senior level, how do you maintain this? Because this is a constant reservation that we keep on hearing. Should we focus more on quantity or the quality, or when you say the right higher part, how do you make sure that this happens?
So, I think within our numbers, everybody's pressurized to get in people at given at any cost, and that's for any business. Anybody who tells me that they're not pressurized to get in the numbers and wrong decisions don't happen, I would be a little skeptical. But the best you can do is to ensure plan as much as you can and ensure that your sourcing is right. You have got a pipeline built out so that you can follow the plan. And typically when we have ramp up plans, we know the hiring patterns which are happening over the period of year. So we plan accordingly. We ensure that our plans are in place. We prepare the teams for the numbers which are there. And then we are also in sync with the hiring managers. So, and we also look at agility of hiring in locations. Thankfully, with Medusind, we have the freedom of looking at where is the availability of resources and which location works better. So when that is there, you can look at hiring numbers at various places. It mitigates the pressure of getting the right numbers and the right hires across. Having said that, there could be slip-ups here and there, because if you're hiring 100 to 200 people in a month, it's not possible for you to sit in every interview, etc. But as much as possible, if people are trained, people follow the structures of interview, the processes, etc., the benchmarking which is required for assessments and for the interview process, and the right verification, etc., is done. I think you've done your job there.
Yeah, that's I completely agree. I completely agree to your point. One question I have it, though it's not in my bucket list, but I thought I asked this. I know you rely heavily on structured interviews because I have worked with you closely. So you know that there are assessments tool, but you still rely on importance of having a structured interview. Now, some of the other companies, I know Medusind have a very well-oiled process, but what an HR professional should keep in mind while having these structured interviews, because as the company scales, doing it on a scalable basis becomes very difficult. So how do you make sure that this happens? Because doing a structured interview is a time consuming, plus the process need to be there. So what are the things that any young company out there should keep in mind, while having this structured interview process?
So personally with me, what I do is, if I have to interview somebody, I ensure that the one is that the resume matches to the job rec which is there, the job requisition which is the job description which is given in. And then I look at the resume, look at what gaps, etc. is there, and then I frame out the questions which I want to ask, so that I manage to ask what I need to know. And then it starts with the rapport building, and then you go on to talking to the candidate, probing questions and the closure of the questions. And if you have done your homework properly, and if you looked at the resume and matched with what the candidate has said or answered or asked, etc., you would come to a decision, is what I feel. Typically in the team, what we do is we ensure that people are trained in behavioral interviewing. A proper behavioral interviewing training session happens, so that people understand what is structured and unstructured interviews, and also people understand, what are the different type of questions, what are open-ended, what are this thing, and what levels, what questions work, what don't work. And then we also have a set format for all the hiring. I think most people would have that, but we do a pre-screening. There are set questions of pre-screening, so that the standard questions get asked, the answers are kept in there, and the next lot of interviewers pick up, the relevant questions which need to be asked. And I think that works out well with us.
Wow. So there is a process in-house, even for the hiring the HR professional. They got trained in behavioral interview techniques, yes. And then they start doing the structured interview. Wow, yes. Amazing. Very well-oiled process. One question reading from this is, we've been hearing a lot that, that Gen Z has a different behavioral competencies, has a different characteristics. Our interview techniques or our tech stacks need to be in alignment with this. And I know you have worked with millennials in the past, you would have hired, and now it's a Gen Z. what's your sense? Because I think you are the one who understand these Gen Z, because you have the maximum interaction with these people while hiring. So what has been your experience so far?
I think, you have to remember every generation changes with, the amount of technology and the information which everybody, gets through with the amount of technology which is there. So if you remember, your parents would have told you that, I listen, my parents told me this and I would listen and I would not ask questions. When the millennials came in, theirs was, they had a different mindset. When the Generation Z came in, they were very clear. They want to know what is happening and why is it happening, right? So to be fair, you need to tell them that this is what we're expecting. The expectation setting has to be very, very right. And I think the main difference between the Gen Z and millennials, and I really don't want to compartmentalize because it's easy to do so, but they like to know what they're doing, why they're doing, and they have to be clear in their thought process. Plus, they need to get paid for it. They're very clear about monies, etc. The millennials were more of I think coaching would work, feedback would work, and people would move and there's a learning this thing. But here, the current generation is extremely well aware. They want to know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how should they work, and they want to grow fast. They want people to mentor them and move up fast. So you have to have in systems which will help that the generation or the people which come in right now to learn and to have a flexibility of getting mentors. And it's not always possible in every organization, every situation. It's really not possible. But as much as possible, I think we should set expectations right. People understand what they've come in for, what the role is, what is your career movement upstairs. And once people, map up to it, I think it gets a better result. I mean, forget the Generation Z at office. At home, we have a Generation Z which asks questions to the T. So, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So, are you pointing toward that this generation, especially this Gen Z, they are more aware, they are monetarily driven. They don't want feedback, but they still want a mentoring help. They want to reach out.
They want continuous feedback. They don't want feedback in pieces and meals. They want continuous feedback. They want to go fast. They want faster this thing. So with the millennials, I think what has happened is they got adapted to technology. Gen Z is brought into that technology. They've been born with technology. The kids now have, especially with the COVID and how coming in, even the parents who didn't want to give the phone have given the phones. They didn't have a choice. So they want faster go. They want faster this thing. They're aware of, and the reason is that I think the generation now, economically understands where they are and they need to strive for it. They know they're more aware of it. Whereas the millennials were pretty comfortable, for them, their goals were a little different. They wanted to grow. They wanted feedback. They wanted coaches. The millennials want to grow faster, and they're really they question everything: why, what, how, where. It's better to set expectations and said that.
So is it a challenging scenario for someone like you? You have done it all right, but still you need to hire, right, 200 a month, and still
it's challenging. It is challenging for everybody. It is extremely challenging because also a lot of people, are very clear about what kind of career they want, what do they want to do, and they're very sure about what kind of field they would want to be in. And for us to get the right people in, etc., our questions have changed. What do we want to look at? Also, a period of longevity have changed. At one time, we would say, a longer time is a good time. But right now, there are different spaces which people work in. So that is okay. I think that's part of every generation. And there is change. And, change sometimes is good. Sometimes makes you really, really think differently. And that's what is happening.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. It's really a challenging time. One question that we keep on hearing, and I think in last post-COVID, a great amount of tech has erupted HR. In fact, if you see from sourcing, from talent acquisition to onboarding, engagement, training, everything has been engulfed by the tech stacks around it, especially now ChatGPT, Bard. What has been your take? Because are you a conventional HR, or do you think, now it have to be more equipped with these techs. What is your take on it? Or is there or do you think this role of HR will be will be equipped by the technology, or tech may even will be the thing that will take this stream ahead? What has been your take? Is it like more of HR in this technology, or is it more technology in HR? What has been your take?
So with Medusind, we've always been technologically aware. So I'm not going to say that we just started utilizing tech.
Absolutely.
So whether it is the assessments which we had from 2014 onwards, or whether an entire HRMS, we've been quite a lot paperless as much as possible for the longest of time. But in the last 3 years, we have evolved technologically, not only in HR, across the organization. We've looked at automations. We've looked at multiple things which can get in faster, which can get in more efficiency. That is what we've really and very mindfully looked at around the organization. Now, with respect to HR, we've got a lot of AI-driven applications, and one of them is a chatbot which reaches out to employees at various milestones and talks to people. And then if there is an issue, there's somebody from HR who reaches out and has continuing talks with the person. Then there has been an AI which kind of onboards people, connects pre-boarding with candidates, onboards employees, connects with them if there are issues continuously. And internally also there are HR chatbots which help out employees to answer questions. At the same time, we ensure that there are touch points with the HR BPs across the organization, so that the human touch is not there, because that is required. You need to connect at certain points. We ensure that we keep the right balance. We've also in the recent past tied up with an organization which has given us an application, which is a pure learning application, and that has been really great. So we have had employees teaching other employees, sharing knowledge. It works like our internal Twitter, Facebook, but on the learning platform. And the way it works is that anybody can share information, anybody can upload information, anybody can answer questions at the time. The training programs which can work on it, and it's really worked. It's fast, it's quick, and it's fast, and so it helps people to connect instantly. And right now, as you said, the Gen Z likes to see things instantly, and that's worked out really well. And what we've seen is that it's driven by the employees. So that's really helped when we facilitate getting the system. And it's a lot of employees who've driven in and put in information there, so that other employees are helped out, with. And these are they're completely learning related, domain related, functional information which is available on the platform. So we've gone a step ahead, and we've really worked hard to ensure that we are there with the time, and we are ensuring technologies interwoven with our HR functions. And these are not only for HR, it's for across the organization. And that really helps. So in the last 3 years, we've got a blitz of technology coming in. And we've been super proud about it also. We've been really happy about it. At the same time, we're conscious that we need to connect with employees, and that we are doing as and when required.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. I think I still remember in a healthcare space, you were the first one, as far as I know, who were having that belief that assessment should work. And I still remember in 14, 15, you were trying different assessment tools, even at that point of time. And, so I can agree that, medicine is always lap up the technology really fast. You're like early adopters in most of these HR tools. Absolutely. I echo that. Now, Lakshmi, I'll ask certain questions which, we keep on hearing, because see, some of our audiences may not be from big companies. They may not have the processes, or they don't have a muscles. In some of the companies, even the L&D budgets are not there. But the problems are still the same. Getting the people to train them, and how do we make sure that culture remain intact? Now, with those backdrop, I have few questions. For example, one question which keep on coming, right? Assumingly we have very less budget, we cannot afford to have a consultant to close the position. How should we hire? And what are the quick hacks? I know hack is a wrong word, but still, how can we make sure that we get we're able to get the required number, though they may not be hiring 200 people, they'll be hiring 5 people. What can be the quick hack to hiring? And any answer to that? That would be really good.
I think right now for us, what works is referrals works the maximum, and that's always been historically. It's not just recent. It's been always historically where referrals are what really, really works with us. In the last 2-3 years, we've really picked up on social media, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it is Facebook, etc. We place ads, we run ads so that people walk into the organization, and job portals. That I think are the best solutions for getting sourcing in. If you're hiring freshers, etc., then colleges are a good place to connect with and get people, but you'll have to ensure that you land at the right time for campuses. And typically with referrals, what happens is word of mouth runs very fast and people are interested to have. So what we tell employees is, this is a happy place to work. You like working here, been with us for some time, then you know who needs to be here. So why don't you refer? So you have your friends and family working with us. And that helps a lot. So that's what has been working with us for the longest of time, and we continue doing that. Of course, we've innovated the referral process here and there, tweaked it here and there per the requirements, etc. But our highest source of recruitment is through referrals, and always has been through referrals.
Okay.
Also, what happens is we've tied up with our consultant partners who there are long-term partners who work with us. So, having longer relationship with those partners has really helped. They know what we are, what we do, the organization, and that we have maintained the relationship. That also works out with us.
Absolutely. Okay, that sounds good. Another question that we keep on hearing, especially from audience who are from a bigger organizations, like suppose IT of the world and consulting firms. So they keep on asking that, and some of these questions come from, middle level HRs. So most of these HR are from, not from the sourcing end, they are from employee engagement sense of a word. And one question they keep on asking is, right now the workplace is an environment wherein there are people with different generation. So Gen Z, millennial and everything, right? And it's a multi-generational gaps are there in this entire workplace. But the target is to create the culture constant. So a lot of people says, we are working for an engagement outfit. We want to keep the culture constant. But the culture is ever evolving. So what has been your sense? How do you make sure that, despite working with different generation or the intergeneration people, you are still keeping the culture constant in Medusind? What has been your learning, and if you can share?
So with us, we've been very, very clear that, one is that we have an atmosphere of ownership, empowerment, and with both of this comes accountability. And this flows from top to bottom, to every leaders to down the line everywhere. That's what we look at. The second is that we always believe that as an organization, it has to be a happy place to work. So when we talk about a vision statement, etc., we say that there are 3 pillars. One is satisfied employees, satisfied shareholders, and satisfied customers. And all 3 parts are equally important. We really, right from the time an employee comes in to the organization, we ensure that the vision statement and our values and culture, etc., is passed on to the new joinees. Also, what we do is we have a lot of people in the organization who help do the induction, and they pass on their experiences so that the culture gets set in. When our new employees come in, we also have something known as a dost who kind of helps their employee settle in, who's an experienced employee, not necessarily a leader, but an experienced employee who's been with us for some time, who helps settle in the newer employee. And,
like a buddy program. Like a buddy program,
but typically what a buddy does is you kind of teach the process, etc. Those is just to help the employee to settle in. And settle in with the culture, settle in with people, etc. And, help the person to be comfortable with the organization. We also do transition workshops with employees who come in, basically from a campus to an organization or a different company to the company. So these are some of the interventions which we do, and we're happy to say that we by far maintain the organization atmosphere. Plus, we have a culture of learning and development, which always helps with the other state. And plus, we also have engagement programs which happen throughout the year. We in fact are waiting eagerly for our annual anniversary festival, which is going to happen in the month of August.
Absolutely. Sounds, I think, Certainly a happy place. Sounds like a happy place. Certainly. I think one last few questions left. So one quick question that I want to ask is, a lot of new HR professionals are joining this space. A lot of MBA colleges are mushrooming, which teaches candidate on HR as a discipline. And some of these people are joining corporates, or they're starting their own HR boutique firms. What can be your quick advice to any new HR professional who are joining this field? What they should be cognizant of? What are the advice you want to give it to those new people who are joining?
I think it's not only with HR, but any employee who joins or any new person who's coming in and joining organization or is working on their own, etc. You should have a learning mind. You should have a learning mind. You should be very eager to learn, and you should be very, very eager to succeed. Very eager. We should be hungry for opportunities. Unless you have that hunger, unless you have that willingness to learn and change and adapt, it'll be difficult to move forward. And especially in this atmosphere, it's very, very important that, with the base which we have, the young graduates have a strong HR base, etc. The next step should be looking at learning, looking at what they can do better, hungry to succeed, hungry for opportunities, look at more opportunities coming in. And whatever you do, try and do it right the first time. Once you start getting into that habit, it helps. Over a period of time, it becomes a practice, and then you follow that. But most importantly, you should be really willing to learn. And that is foremost. At least that has been my, I'm willing to learn. It's something I'm happy to learn, and I want to learn. And if that hunger is not there, and what more can I do if it is not there, it will not work out. And as a person, I'm extremely restless when there's something not happening. So I look at opportunities, what I can do, what I can look into, what I can learn, what I can implement, what I can drive across all this. And that helps.
Absolutely. So I think hunger is a word. I still remember I was presenting you one of our analytics presentation, and you understood like this, and you said, Saurabh, this is wrong, change it, add it. So I know, that where it is all stemmed from. I completely agree to it. So all our audience, I think buzzword is hungry. You need to stay hungry so that you can make a mark in this field. One last question before I let you go, Lakshmi, is, up till now, we would have covered more than 36 to 37 sessions. And my production team told us that only 4 women leaders have participated in this. So we've been, it's less than 10% have come up on our events. So, and you are one of the few, who can really say proudly that, over the last 2 decades, I have done it all, and I've taken company to a stage. And there are hardly in this HR field, which is a new, I can say, it's still an evolving field, and there are a lot of HR leaders are there, but they will be far and few. What has been your success formula? Because I'm very sure you have broken the ceiling. You're at a level where a lot of people vie for. What has been your success formula? Because I think there are not so many women leaders, especially in the HR field at this point of time. So if you can just tell me your success formula so that we can all be years to this, that will be really good.
So I think, first of all, Medusind has succeeded as an organization because everybody's collaborated and, gone with the same vision statement. So I wouldn't put it only on my shoulders. I have it's a great team which I work with. I think when I started off, I was extremely instinctive. I was extremely aggressive in terms of, whether it is hiring or whether it is anything else. I was extremely absolute go-getter and, go out of the way to get things done. Over a period of time, I've, with experience, I've looked at what needs to be done. Some things, what should be prioritized and what should not be prioritized. I've gotten into a lot in terms of analytics, looking at numbers, because numbers tells you what is happening more than your gut feel is good. But analytics always helps in terms of where the future is, or if you need to make a decision, you want to change something, etc. That works. Plus, being aware of what is happening around. Being extremely aware of what is happening around, not only in the organization, also across in the industry. What is happening? It's very important that a person knows what is happening and implement wherever things are required to change, or you need to put in something new. It's extremely important that happens. One of I wouldn't say one of our success stories has been setting up a center in Shillong. We really love the challenge. In the last year, we hired about 400 plus employees in Shillong over a period of 6 months. We had help from the government of Shillong. We set up in the Shillong IT Technology Park is where we set up our fifth center. And many stories like that. We've looked at agility and we've looked at what needs to be done first and what has worked with us in terms of things. So personally, I look at, as I said, I'm hungry to learn and I'm hungry for opportunity. So, and I also look at what can help the organization. And that's of paramount importance to me. So with all these factors, I think that's helps me to, move ahead.
Absolutely. I think hungry is the most frequent word that we can catch hold of. But thanks for your time, Lakshmi. I think we really appreciate this time. I think we would be receiving so many questions from our audience. An audience will be definitely answering those questions depending on the ma'am's availability. Thanks for being part of this event, Lakshmi. It's really an honor hosting you. I know you have a busy schedule. But thanks for being part of it. I think, and thanks to the wonderful audience to take the time out of a busy schedule and ask all these valuable questions. Thanks for it. I think we'll see you next time around with another guest. And thanks, Lakshmi ji, once again for being part of this.
Thank you, Saurabh, so much for having me part of the podcast. And thank you for everybody who's heard me out with Saurabh here. I consider myself a small person in my journey, but if I've given value add to anyone, I'm happy to do so. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's humility personified. But thanks Lakshmi ji for being part of this.
Thanks, Saurabh. Thank you.
Yeah.